Hi everyone, this is Janet Keefe. Welcome to our webinar on the MicroLab series, the on-site oil analysis made easy through automation, artificial intelligence, and data management. The Spectra Scientific MicroLab is an all-in-one automated lubricant analysis system. The instrument utilizes 4 separate analytical components to provide a complete assessment of the health of the oil as well as the equipment. It allows for on-site testing and is designed to operate in non-lab environments. The analysis, cleaning, and reporting are all completely automated. The MicroLab is fast. It provides a complete analysis in less than 15 minutes rather than waiting days or even weeks for outside lab results. It's easy. It's designed for the non-expert user by providing easy-to-read reports with color-coded alarm limits and maintenance recommendations. And it's convenient. The compact size and fully automated operation make for a perfect on-site screening tool. The MicroLab has the most success in meeting the analysis needs for industries that rely on diesel engine performance. Both the MicroLab 30 and 40 provide analysis for engines and the rest of the powertrain equipment. Then the particle counter, which is included on the MicroLab 40, provides analysis of gears and hydraulics where particle contamination is a critical factor. The MicroLab is used in a variety of industries as an on-site screening tool. These industries include transportation, such as municipal and government fleets, over-the-road trucking, mining, and oil and gas drilling, as well as other industry OEMs and service providers. We have a variety of current customers who are leaders in each one of these industries. The MicroLab holds several patents for its analysis technology, but the combination of its automation, artificial intelligence, and data management systems are some of the most innovative designs for this instrument. The automated fluidic system seamlessly takes the sample through the multi-component analysis and self-cleaning process with no user interaction after they input the sample information in the integrated touchscreen. The embedded expert system then provides a complete data analysis with diagnostic and maintenance recommendations. Finally, the available data management through LoopTrack subscription services provides automatic site and company reporting with easy-to-understand dashboard tools. The MicroLab provides a complete oil analysis, providing information on the chemistry, elemental analysis, the viscosity, and the particle count. The chemistry uses an infrared spectrometer to measure 6 key parameters which indicate the potential oil degradation or contamination. The optical emission spectrometer quantifies wear metals caused from mechanical components, as well as other elements from oil additives and contamination. The MicroLab utilizes a dual temperature viscometer, which provides kinematic viscosity analysis to provide the potential oil degradation or contamination. And finally, the MicroLab 40 is equipped with a particle counter to measure the particle contamination, which is crucial for maintaining hydraulic systems, compressors, and turbines. The expert system, or the artificial intelligence of the system, integrates years of knowledge and experience and real-world data into the MicroLab and translates the analytical results into easy-to-understand diagnostic statements, as well as provides maintenance recommendations. This eliminates the need for every company to have their own analytical expert on staff. The MicroLab gives them the same type of report they would receive from an outside laboratory with all of the analysis. It's like having your very own application specialists in the box. The report that the MicroLab provides gives all the analytical data which can be used for tracking and trending changes over time for up to the past 3 samples. These results are color-coded with alarm limits, which are set based on particular applications, oil type, and equipment which the user has entered. The real benefit to the report are the easy to understand maintenance recommendation statements, which guide the operator to the immediate actions for that equipment. We also have LubeTrack, our online reporting tools, which is a cloud-based subscription service. LubeTrack brings all of the results from the MicroLab into a centralized viewing platform. This allows you to easily track and trend maintenance issues across the entire fleet and even at different locations. This also provides a corporate dashboard to see the entire maintenance operation and streamlines communication between all of the sites, including the headquarters and any remote locations. LoopTrack provides a data management system. It converts individual oil analysis reports into groups or categories, and it allows you to make decisions across the entire fleet without having to look at the individual oil reports. You can look at the dashboard and view data for making quick assessments, and the sample history is all in one place. You can view it as graphs or tables or different charts, and you're able to sort it based on what's important to you, equipment type or condition severity or by site. LoopTrack is customizable for your needs. Most important is you can set up alerts. These automatic email alerts can be sent to multiple addresses and can be scheduled at specific time frames. You can customize the alert criteria so you're notified of specific actions that need immediate attention, and they can be sent to a global distribution list for whoever needs to be notified. The customization is also in the reporting. You can create and save report views of interest for specific equipment or condition. You can also save reports for specific sites or date ranges. This eliminates the need to manually manipulate the data each time you want to view it. And you can set up reports as a scheduled task to report at specific times. LoopTrack provides an asset management for your corporation. This allows you to do several things. You can optimize your maintenance practices to bring cost savings to your company. You can also set up preventative maintenance practices, and this helps decrease downtime and eliminate catastrophic failures. You can also manage any known service issues on your equipment. And LoopTrack also helps you identify unknown service issues. So now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Jim Greer, who's going to take us through some examples of how our customers have used LoopTrack to achieve these results.
Hi, everyone. As Janet said, I'm going to take you through some real case scenarios of how our customers have actually used LoopTrack. One of the most common ways our customers use LoopTrack to optimize their maintenance practices is by extending oil drain intervals. The cost savings associated with this practice consists of a reduction in labor, oil, and disposal costs. This allows customers to achieve green fleet initiatives. With LoopTrack, they can track and trend oxidation, nitration, TBN, and soot, which are the key parameters in extending oil drains safely. In this example, one of our municipal fleet customers had their oil drain intervals set for every 5,000 miles. Using LoopTrack to monitor those 4 key parameters every 5,000 miles, they observed that the oil condition remained normal through 10,000 miles. At that point, they brought the bus in at a half interval, at which time the oxidation was flagged as abnormal, indicating the start of oil degradation. They opted to extend one more half interval, at which time the nitration and TBN also fell out of line, which in turn indicated they had overextended the drain interval. Tracking the key parameters is essential, but ensuring that the other properties, such as metals and contamination, are within specification is important to monitor while extending oil drain intervals. You can see that the diagnostic statements reflect what the parameters have indicated, so you can use the artificial intelligence to help you make the proper maintenance decisions. So looking at this example, our municipal customer had been draining the oil every 5,000 miles for their buses. Using LoopTrack, they determined they could safely extend their oil drain to 12,000 miles, saving them 2 oil changes per vehicle per year. Each oil change costs approximately $200, saving them a total of $200,000 per year based on their fleet size. Next, let's look at an example of how LoopTrack is used for preventative maintenance practices. Preventative maintenance is key in avoiding unscheduled downtime. The cost savings can be harder to measure than the extended oil drain example, but catastrophic failure can result in much higher costs. This can also include the cost of towing, equipment repair, and lost revenue, as well as damage to the company's reputation. For preventative maintenance, it is important to monitor the wear metals, contamination, and oil properties to identify issues early. In this example, a customer operating an offshore oil drilling rig saw through their LoopTrack report an abnormality occurring in their top drive. The abnormal readings on sodium combined with high readings on silicon indicated an outside source of contamination was entering the top drive. A leak in the top drive seal was identified as the point of entry. Once repaired, the oil was monitored to confirm that the contamination was eliminated. An auto alert was set up to continue to monitor for any possible failure in the seal. The seals on a top drive can be a common failure point on a drill rig. Not catching this problem early enough could have resulted in the catastrophic failure of the top drive. This is a significant cost to the company, including the equipment repair, helicopter flight for maintenance crew and parts, and lost revenue. The difference is replacing a top drive seal for about $25,000, or a complete top drive replacement of more than $1 million, plus the lost revenue of up to $500,000 a day. Next, we will review an example of using LoopTrack to manage known service issues. When the maintenance crew is aware of a particular issue, they can use LoopTrack to stay ahead of it by setting up automatic notifications of the impending problem. The alert criteria is set as an early warning system so maintenance actions can occur in a timely manner, preventing more significant breakdowns. In this particular example, a fleet service provider had been experiencing a high rate of EGR failures with a particular engine make and model. This could be seen in a customized LoopTrack report, which was sorted on that specific equipment manufacturer. The coolant properties, such as potassium, sodium, and silicon, can be used for early detection of a coolant leak. If the vehicle is equipped with an EGR cooler, this can be a likely point of failure. This customer used the auto alert feature on LoopTrack to notify the maintenance manager every time this occurred, so the EGR system could be checked immediately on that particular vehicle. When the EGR valve breaks down, it allows coolant to get into the engine oil, where it can cause corrosion of the engine and oil degradation. If left unattended, the problem can lead to eventual engine failure. Catching this problem in the early stage will cost approximately $2,500 to repair the EGR system versus $18,000 to over $30,000 for an actual engine repair. Finally, let's see how to use LoopTrack when you don't know the exact service problem. Trying to identify common problems across equipment, a fleet, or various sites is difficult or nearly impossible to do looking at individual oil reports. LoopTrack allows you to set up reports to examine all of the data to find the common issues and track the root cause. In this particular case, this municipal fleet customer was experiencing a high rate of abnormal readings. They first set up a report to examine if there was a common link across the vehicle makes. The next step was to set up a custom report to look at the specific abnormal parameters, and they realized the issue was in an early breakdown of the oil viscosity and not related to any vehicle or engine issues. The drop in viscosity at such a low mileage pinpointed a problem with a recent batch of oil they had purchased. The early breakdown of the oil resulted in more frequent oil changes and could have caused equipment failure if left unattended. The potential savings from purchasing a less expensive oil cost them more in the additional oil drains that were necessary and could have cost far more in vehicle damage. In all these examples, we have seen how oil analysis can monitor the health of the equipment and components, just like a blood test can monitor your health. LubeTrack takes it one step further by examining the health of the overall fleet. MicroLab and LubeTrack provide a complete solution for on-site oil analysis and are easily integrated into current maintenance operations. The automated analysis, cleaning, and reporting operation makes MicroLab simple to use by any maintenance or support personnel. Complete oil analysis results in under 15 minutes provides real-time decision-making. The artificial intelligence system provides easy-to-understand reports with color-coded alarms and recommended diagnostics for confidence in maintenance actions. The MicroLab data can be seamlessly transferred into the online LubeTrack reporting system. LubeTrack provides data management with custom alerts, reports, and historical sample trending. Asset management with LubeTrack allows companies to extend equipment life, realize cost savings, and manage maintenance practices.
All right. Hello, I'm Bob Whopper, Vice President of Business Development here at Spectro Scientific, and I will be your moderator for the question and answer session. Jim and Janet, thank you for explaining the latest advancements in on-site lubrication oil analysis. Now we've reserved some time for question and answer, and why don't we get into it straight away with our first question. And we have, so does the MicroLab only test engine oil? Janet, perhaps you can answer that for us.
No, actually, the MicroLab can test any hydrocarbon-based oil, so it includes things like engine oil, transmission fluid, hydraulic, and gear fluids as well.
Great. This is a follow-up question that what do you have to do to prepare an oil sample before you run it on a MicroLab?
Yeah, there's actually no prep necessary for the oil. Just to put it into the sample bottle that we provide and connect it to the MicroLab with the intake straw.
And another question related to that, how big of a sample is needed for the MicroLab analysis?
Yeah, so it's just 5 ounces of sample is used to run all 4 tests in the MicroLab.
Great, thank you. We have an application question maybe for you, Jim. How do you know when you can safely extend the oil drain, and how long should it be extended before rechecking?
Well, extending the oil drain is a key feature on the MicroLab, and we actually use 4 parameters from the physical properties, TBN, soot, oxidation, and nitration, to track the oil and the additives within the oil as it's being processed. Once you hit that key spot where the oil has been overextended, we'll actually start seeing alarm limits on some of these physical properties. And at the same time, you can actually track wear metals and other physical properties in there as well. So you're ensuring that you're not doing any damage. So it's a great feature for the MicroLab.
Perhaps Jim, that's another one for you. Is the MicroLab, does it have a restriction on viscosity? I think the question really is, what's the viscosity range of oils that can be analyzed?
It goes down from a ISO 10 up to 320, and we do have the ability to go to 680, ISO 680 fluids as well. With there's a special attachment to it that allows us to pump air into the sample and get up to the higher grade oils, so 10 to 680.
Okay. So there, this sounds like maybe coming from an existing customer. So there's an OSA 4 model and then also a new MicroLab 40. Can you please compare and contrast both tools?
Sure. Yeah. So we have just launched our new MicroLab 40. This is the replacement to the what was previously the OSA MicroLab OSA 4 MicroLab. And so there have been some improvements in the instruments and the software that we've rolled out to the marketplace just recently.
Great. Thank you. Jim, perhaps back to you with this one. What is the detection limit for the wear metals?
Yeah, on the wear metals themselves, they're a little different. We're about plus or minus 5 to 7 on most of the wear metals. So
would that be parts per million?
Parts per million, yes, sir.
5 to 7 parts per million. Let's see, we have another one here. So would you kindly tell me, can we customize the software for our local machinery, for example, military, bus, transportation? We'd like to monitor the wear trend on each machine. We have a big local system. I think this question is about particular asset classes and component classes.
Yeah, actually, for the instrument, when you're inputting the sample information before you run your sample, it actually requests that information about what type of equipment and application that you're running, so that it will pull the correct rules to analyze that system. So you actually do input what type of application and what type of equipment you're going to be testing the oil from.
Another application question. So what is the accuracy of the MicroLab versus traditional laboratory-based analysis, and do we have any comparison data to share?
Yeah, so the MicroLab is primarily used as a very good screening tool, on-site screen analysis. It does not have the same detection as a lab-based analytical equipment, but we can provide information in our data about what our detection limits are on the different tests.
Okay. Does the MicroLab perform testing on synthetic-based oil, for example, ester-based oils?
Yes, it does provide testing on synthetic-based, not only ester-based hybrids as well. There is a slight limitation on the physical properties for ester-based oils to where we can see some of the physical properties blocked. For instance, oxidation can be partially blocked with a full ester-based oil. But yes, it does test on synthetic oils.
Another question is, do we have any videos posted online of the function of the lab, perhaps MicroLab? We understand the benefit of oil analysis, but would like to see a demonstration.
Yeah, we'll be posting a new video shortly on the MicroLab. So that will be.
I think we have a video posted already, the previous generation.
Yes.
Is there any way for measuring water content in the oil?
Yes, it does. With the infrared, it does detect water. It does not go down to a Carl Fisher type measurement, but it can pick up water. Also within, if you have the upgraded MicroLab that has the particle counter in it, there's a relative humidity portion that's built into the particle counter as well, which can give you some moisture content that is built into some of the cleaner fluids like hydraulics, gear fluids.
I think we have a question here coming from a oil supplier and service provider, and this is a question about LubeTrack and data management. Can I be granted LubeTrack access from a remote point on the behalf of my client?
Yeah, that's actually a great question because it shows the flexibility that LubeTrack has. If you're at a remote location and you have the permission from the LubeTrack subscriber, then they can actually grant you access to only your samples, your accounts, and all that. It's very flexible in the way that it's can be used across the United States, globally even, to where you can set up each person with their own account to where they can set up their own alerts, their own reports, and everything. So, yes, they can do that.
Now, that was a related question, which I think you covered, which is my company has multiple sites across the globe. If I had a MicroLab at each of these sites, can I combine all the data and move track?
Yeah, that's also easily done. We currently have a program. It's what we call a central server type program, to where there is a master database where every sample is located in the same place. So each MicroLab at each location can actually share the data. So if a truck was run in California and then moves across the United States to, say, Florida, his history will actually follow him on that master database, and he doesn't have to worry about updating any of the mileage or anything. Plus, he has the trending history and everything right there with him the next time he does a sample on his truck.
Actually, this is an interesting question. It comes from one of our existing Spectroscientific Spectral customers. And they say, so we already use your equipment, your Spectral M. We have more than 50,000 machines that we manage in another test laboratory, and we want to move this system to MicroLab. But our customers are concerned about performance comparison. So I don't know if we have any comments on that. I mean, certainly the MicroLab, is a more comprehensive system, doing more than just wear metal and additive measurements. So you'll expand capability in that way. But perhaps you can comment.
Yeah, it's we do have the ability to actually move data, not only data from the customer being their vehicles, equipment, and all that stuff, into a MicroLab or even a loop track type program. As Bob mentioned, the actual measurements, because the MicroLab does more than some of the spectral equipment, it would be a little different in that fact. So
we have one question here about whether we have references in Canada, but I think maybe this is just a general question for everybody about MicroLabs being used around the world, and do we have reference customers? I think, Janet, you touched on that in one of your slides, so maybe.
Yeah, definitely. We have for over the years we've installed about 1,000 units around the world in all different types of applications, as I had mentioned in the presentation. Everything from military and municipal to all kinds of transit and offshore drilling. So we can certainly work with people if they are looking for specific references from customers that we can connect them to.
Okay. Maybe not, again, somewhat related following question about, so for example, someone's writing here, they service military organization, non-United States military organization, and they want to have some software to, collect their data, but certainly don't want it to live in the cloud. Can they have a dedicated version to run on their own server rather than in the cloud service?
Yeah, we've actually done that for a couple non-military customers as well, who can be worried about network interruption or hacking or stuff like that, and setting up something on their own server is currently being done, and yes, it can be done in the future as well.
Okay. Maybe we'll go back to some application questions. I see quite a few rolling in right now. So, Jim, why should you measure TBN in oil?
The TBN is crucial, and like I mentioned in one of the first questions we had, extending oil drain intervals, it's one of the key parameters we use. The TBN in the oil lets us know once it hits a certain point that the oil has reached, is no longer useful for the properties and the protection it's doing to the engine itself. So monitoring TBN is definitely a key parameter to follow.
Another question is, what's the repeatability of the MicroLab, of course, across all those tests? I mean, we certainly have on a spec sheet, but perhaps you can comment in general.
Yeah, the repeatability is
I mean, I certainly think one of the things that we look at with the MicroLab isn't necessarily compared directly to laboratory testing, but the question is the data that comes out good enough and repeatable enough for the rules engine to do its job and give you the proper maintenance recommendation?
Yeah, most definitely. The repeatability is over par for that. That's definitely used, in all the rule statements, the trending and all that stuff that we use. It definitely is worked in there.
So, and how often is it required to calibrate or recalibrate the system? And maybe a wider question of how do you keep the system running and accurate and repeatable?
Yeah, I mean, one of the nice things about the instrument is that it is set up to prompt the user as to when to run the standardization fluids, and it automatically cleans it. It's really kind of set up to walk the users through and know how many sample counts have been run before it has to be recalibrated. So that's all kind of built into the system.
Okay. Another question is, how often are the master database and rules and oil parameters updated, or how is that done?
We have a communication software that is built into all of the MicroLabs. So if it is connected to the internet, we can have file manager properties with the MicroLab itself. So we can update oil parameters and rule statements, rule limits, et cetera. All that can be done. We're currently doing it approximately every 6 months, based on whether they have a service contract or even an extended service contract. That's part of what is included in that.
Okay, great. So there, going to shift over to some questions about cost and so on. So, what's the per sample cost of running a sample?
Yeah, so when we take into account the various consumable items that are involved, the sample test per sample is less than $4 to run on the MicroLab.
Okay.
And I think there was another question about consumables, so I'll just go on to talk about that as well. There's minimal consumables needed for the test. Like I mentioned before, there's a specific sample bottle that you need to use. There's intake straw and different cleaning items. And then, like I said, occasional fluids that are used to calibrate.
Okay. This is an interesting question about coolant. So I currently send coolant samples off to a lab. Is it very expensive? Can we test coolants?
Yeah, so as I had mentioned before, the MicroLab can test hydrocarbon oils. So it is not designed to specifically test coolant. It can detect coolant in the oil. But we actually have a separate analyzer that many people use alongside the MicroLab, and that's the CoolCheck 2, which is a specific coolant analyzer, and it actually tests up to 9 different parameters to indicate the health of your coolant in your vehicle.
Does the analyzer comply with any ASTM or other test norms?
Yeah, the MicroLab does have an ASTM designation, which is 7417-10. So it does comply with that, and that's an ASTM paper that can be easily looked up.
Okay. There's some more questions about LoopTrack coming in. Do you have to be a big company to benefit from asset management?
No, not at all. We have the full gambit of customers, everything from the smaller ones with 100 to 150 vehicles in their fleet up to thousands. So being a big company does not matter at all. LoopTrack is beneficial to the small and the larger companies, along with LoopTrack.
Okay. And what is it that the LoopTrack database tells me, or LoopTrack report tells me, that the sort of paper report coming out of the MicroLab doesn't tell me?
Yeah, as Janet had mentioned earlier, the MicroLab does print out a report at the end of each sample. It can show you up to three histories of that particular sample. Whereas all this data that is being ported to the LoopTrack site, you have literally thousands of historical samples and data that can be used to do multiple comparisons on. Maybe you changed oils partway through. Maybe you're looking to see how this particular engine is trending or working over a certain time span and all that. So getting the single report out of the MicroLab itself is great, but having all that historical data and everything else to back it up, including the trending and the graphing from LoopTrack, makes it that much better.
So we have another LoopTrack question. Is it possible to consolidate LoopTrack database with existing software databases from another provider? I don't know if another way to ask this isn't about asset import, but anyway, Jim, perhaps you can answer.
Yeah, at this time, we don't have the ability to to import anything into or to use LoopTrack in that way. So the answer to that one is no.
But if you have a database of assets and components, we can import those.
Yeah, that's one of the programs we do quite often is getting a customer to give us all of their asset/component information, which sometimes is huge, and actually putting it into the MicroLab, which in turn processes it into LoopTrack itself. And it's a huge time saver and everything for when you're actually running samples to have all that data already pre-entered into there.
Okay, we're already about 20 minutes into Q&A, and the questions continue to flow in. So I think we'll continue with maybe a few more. Certainly the questions that we won't be able to get to them all. There are just so many, but I think we're committed to answer them all online in writing. But we'll continue at least with a few more. So let's see. How can I know that my particle counter is measuring correctly, and how do I keep it calibrated properly?
The MicroLab does have an onboard particle counter built into it, and we do have a 2-year plan to where they are calibrated in the factory by us, and every 2 years it is calibrated. So we do have the ability to have a check sample that can be run through to where you can actually test and see if your numbers are repeating properly and all that as well, which we do with all the components that are built into the MicroLab.
Okay, here we have a sort of more basic question. Is MicroLab difficult to operate? How much training is required to run it?
Yeah, so as we talked about in the presentation, it is very simple to operate, and it does, the touch screen does walk the user through all the necessary inputs to start the test. It tells you exactly when to connect the sample to the instrument, and it cleans itself as when it's complete. We provide training to start when we install the equipment, technician can come on, and usually they're on for a couple of days, but really one day of setup, testing, training, walks the user through all of the how to test the sample, how to analyze the results, how to pull a sample properly. So there's more than just how to run the instruments. They cover all the best lab practices in running the instruments as well.
Great. Maybe two more questions. One here. So this sounds to be like from a relatively advanced user. So according to our history from our customer samples, we know that with some machines, the urgent and the critical and normal results are different from, and basically learn that through history. So while the MicroLab analyzer comes preloaded with a predefined set of rules and the rules engine and so on, what I gather from the gist of this question is, can it be custom modified?
At this time, we do customization features for customers. It is not something that can be done on the unit itself, but it can be customizable based on limits and everything that are sent into us. And we have done it with quite a few customers. We also have a program that should be coming out in the near future that we call our Rules Plus Maintenance program, and it will allow minor changes to be done on the MicroLab itself by the actual customer based on a component make, gear type, and all that stuff, to where the customer themselves can actually change limits on the wear metals and the physical properties as well.
And then the one final question, this comes from a specific region, so maybe I'll make it more general. I'm interested in getting some more information and having a demo. How do I get in? Who do I contact, or how do I get in contact with someone?
You can contact in through our website, and it would be directed to the appropriate rep in your region.
Okay, I think that's fine. So, as I said, we have several questions left. I think we're coming up on 45 minutes here, running out of time. So we're certainly committed to answer the rest of these questions online. There will be a recorded version of this webinar available for continued viewing, so you can certainly share with your colleagues. We certainly appreciate you, Jim and Janet, sharing this information with us, and certainly appreciate all of our audience members attending today. So I think that's all for today. I want to thank you very much, and have a good day. Thank you.